Hello all, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which is the second beer camp review. I just noticed, I already recorded one of the reviews, and I just noticed that I went and sort of glossed over who brewed it. I noticed that on the label they have the brewers for each collaboration brew here. So the one that we're going to be reviewing tonight is Family Values Imperial Brown Ale. This is 8.5 ABV. It's a brown ale, obviously, high gravity, high alcohol, brewed with cocoa nibs and honey. So this is with August Shell Brewing, Dark Horse Brewing Company, Half Acre Beer Company, Perennial Artesian Ales, and Sun King Brewing, all of which do not brew here, all of which are not distributed here in Hawaii. So let's read the label, shall we? This rich and malty brown ale ratchets up the flavor with the use of complex roasted malts, honey, oats, and nutty Minnesota wild rice. Wild rice, interesting. Finishing with a chocolate kick of cocoa nibs. Family Values showcases the cooperation and kinship of Midwestern brewers. It features a largely Midwestern grown ingredients: Minnesota wild rice, Indiana honey, Missouri oats, Michigan hops, and cocoa nibs from Illinois, as well as Sierra Nevada's estate-grown malt. Wait, cocoa nibs from Illinois? I don't think those cocoa nibs are grown in Illinois. This is our centrally located collaboration celebrating the best of the Midwest. Let it warm up a little bit because you don't want a brown ale too cold. So, seems to be a dark brown, but not really opaque. Can see light coming through it almost from here, really. And through the light, it's sort of amberish on the bottom here. So it's not completely opaque like an Imperial Stout would be. The head is, I'd say Manila brown to beige, fairly thick. Ooh, big chocolate there. Kind of a herbal graininess to it, which I'm guessing is a wild rice. Somewhat sweet smelling, as opposed to dry smelling. Interesting malts going on here. Unfortunately, the head's dissipating quite quickly. But what stands out here, sort of the big chocolate, cocoa nibs, and sort of herbaceous twist to the graininess, which I'm assuming is the wild rice. Somewhat thick mouthfeel, but not oily, like an Imperial Stout often would be. So it clears the palate fairly well despite the thickness. Wow, there's kind of a lot going on in there. It's going to be hard to suss out. First off, you get a sort of burst of, in the mid, there's a very effervescent burst, and you get a lot of that sort of herbaceous note there, and I'm guessing that's the wild rice. But there's also almost a kind of creaminess to the mouthfeel here. In the mid to finish, just nice, nice little reminder, bittering hops in the finish. Some of those chocolate malts, you get a lot of malts, some residual sweetness in that finish. Not too distinct, it's not very distinctly honey, it's just kind of sweet. There's sweetness up front too. The chocolate definitely makes itself known very briefly, but it's kind of definitely there, but very brief in the front, with just sort of a subtle reminder in the mid to finish, kind of buried underneath either the hops or sort of that maltiness. Not very roasty, just slightly roasty towards the finish, but not overall very roasty tasting. Which, honestly, a brown malt shouldn't be too roasty tasting. It should taste like darker malts, but not overly roasty like a stout would be, or even some porters. There's lots of interplay in between the malt grains and sort of cocoa nibs, especially in that mid palate there. Just you know, when you drink it and you're kind of trying to taste around, a lot of things kind of come up there, and there's a lot going on. As it warms, it's getting kind of a slightly boozy edge to the finish, but not overtly so. You just kind of get a wisp of that alcohol towards the finish. Even the long finish is kind of complex. Goes to the hops, lingering sweetness, a lot of that sort of malts, alternating in between darker malts and some of the roastier notes. Oatmeal sort of shows up in the body, but not so much the flavor. Just adds a bit of smoothness to that body. This is a wonderfully complex beer. I quite like it. The only thing I would tag against it is the fact that the head receded so quickly. I don't think it was the glass, because I did a pretty good job on cleaning the glass. Maybe I tried in different glassware to get that head to last a bit more. Because it seems such a shame to have the nose being muted by the head being pretty much gone already. Would have added towards that sort of very multi-dimensional experience that comes from drinking this. So, what can I say about family values Imperial Brown Ale? Well, definitely all those different ingredients that I listed from the back here make their show and have a contributing aspect to what is a pretty complex brown ale here, amped up to imperial strength. Now, obviously, you probably couldn't be drinking a whole bunch of these due to the strength, and it would probably, her palate would get tired out after one, I would say. A wonderful beer. Again, the only thing I can say is head kind of receded a little bit too quickly for my taste. I'm kind of being hard on the beer camp beers. Honestly, if these were just sort of regular beers that I bought that normal brewer distributes, I would be ranting and raving, be pretty much raving about it. But because beer camp sort of is boot camp for beers, collaborative boot camp for beers, which here in Nevada gets all the great brewers together. I'm kind of being a hard ass here on these one-time only beers, all of which, even though I haven't tried all of them yet, I can pretty much assume are going to be great beers. So try not to get too discouraged by the fact that I'm saying, well, the one thing is that it's a great beer. You're going to enjoy drinking it, obviously, if this is toward your stylistic taste. Obviously, if you're looking for session brews, or if you don't like dark malt ales or high ABV ales, yeah, obviously, you're not going to like it. But if this is in your wheelhouse, it's definitely something to go for, as is just about every beer in the beer camp. So, Family Values Imperial Brown Ale, a whole bunch of weird adjuncts. Oh yeah, I called them adjuncts. Go out and get yourself a beer camp again while it's still available, and enjoy. Cheers.